Now, another debate. So we said nature nurture. A major issue for you, and think about it, because next week I think you will have a lot about it, as far as I understood, about irrationality. And the role or the interaction or the correlations between irrationality in behavior, in decision making, etc. Codifying irrationality. That's not going to be easy. Please give hard time to your teachers. Please give hard time to your teachers. Not because you want to nag and it's negative. It's all about, it's not about being critical, it's about evaluation. And when you do evaluation, you look at it and you ask the question. The questions are more important than anything. But the biggest debate here around all these issues, and directly related to everything you do, is about determinism versus free will. And again, the assumptions for all this are coming from philosophy into psychology and then into all the other disciplines. And in genetics, I'm considered to be a slave to Aliza. Doesn't matter Aliza the person, or Aliza with the abnormality, or Aliza the employee, or Aliza the boss. I'm considered to be a slave to, I am a product of my genetic makeups. Do I have any choice about, any free will about, do I choose my genetic makeup or my genetic predisposition? No, it's determined. Now we get into genetic engineering, you know that. Then we get into the ethical issues. That's why the ethical issue comes from that, because you take something that's supposed to be fixed and you start tampering with it. The moment you start playing with something that's supposed to be fixed, that's the issues are, is it good, is it bad, is it right, is it wrong? But it comes from that, from the issue of determinism versus free will. Now, even if you look brain structure, brain chemicals, you have a bit of a combination. Sort of, you know, we don't control our brain structure, but there are ways in which we can control some, up to a point, chemicals. First of all, that's why we take pills. You don't want to know how many prescriptions a year in the UK. Do you have any idea? What? 200,000?
4 billion.
Sorry? We are talking in millions and millions. Millions a year. And how many people live in the UK? Not billions. Think about it like that. Billions. This is all an attempt what? Through free will. What does free will mean? That I can choose. So through free will, you are trying to interfere, to manipulate, not manipulate in a negative way, to create an influence on something that is a given up to a point. But even eating chocolates or going for a run and the endorphin, it's the same idea. So it's a bit of a combination. Behavioralism, clearly, it's a nature approach. Sorry, nurture approach. And if my behavior, which is core argument, there are millions of theories, it's not the issue, core argument, my behavior, not emotions, cognition. Emotions, cognitions are black box. My behavior is the result of classical and operant conditioning in a nutshell. Doesn't even matter if you understand what it is. Something that I learned from the environment, then it's determinist. I don't choose how to behave. It's the society writing on me and influencing my behavior. And again, all the fields of marketing, strategies, everything, it comes from here. And also, I think I didn't mention yesterday, social learning theory. Because in behavioralism, the learned behavior is the result of conditioning, whereas in social learning, I still learn from the environment, but not only through conditioning, but through observation and imitation. And the whole media is based on that. And that means free will. Where is the free will? So when you go for next week and you talk about irrationality and all these concepts, this, at the end of the day, that's what you're talking about. Psychodynamic, of course, I'm controlled by my emotional conflicts that are unconscious between my id, which is nature part, determinist but nature, and the superego determinist but through nurture, through society. Humanist approach, I want to say something because I'm not sure, like yesterday, because we were a bit in a rush towards the end. It's not, humanist approach is not about everyone is special and that's the story and there are no regularities. If you look at things like, there are very famous theories here which do look into certain regularities, like Maslow, needs theories. I'm sure you've heard about it. You have to. I mean, you know, if you haven't, you have to study these things. And what you see here is that what the humanist theory basically says, yes, my genetics, yes, determinism, I'm a slave to my brain chemicals and I'm a slave to my genetic makeup, and I'm a slave to the environment and to school and to Aliza and to everyone and everything is true, but nevertheless. What does it mean, but nevertheless? But nevertheless means I'm a human being, I have free will, I can control my destiny, or at least I can try. It's a lot about human dignity. It's beautiful, it's absolutely true. But think about it as well. It depends where it applies to, because even Maslow, yeah, I see you say, why? Because why? Why depends where it applies to? Because what's the highest level of at Maslow pyramids?
It's self-actualization.
Yeah, self-actualization. So why did you laugh a bit? Why is it really dependent?
Because it depends which level of the pyramid you are within your life.
It's relevant to what kind of world? Self-actualization? You're going to go and say that in Rwanda or Syria these days? Not really. Do you see what I mean? The humanist approach, besides the issue of the search for meaning, human dignity, etc., it's actually quite luxurious. It's quite luxurious approach. But very interesting for you, and again think about it when next week you start encountering, I don't know if you will study game theory and all these kind of things, very interesting. The last thing I wanted to say, what kind of world do we live in? I know you're not 40, 50 years old, but I think you still know that the world has changed significantly in the last 20 years. What has happened?
Digital, social.
Digital. Tell me, digital. What happened 20 years ago? Do you think I had laptops when I was a student at university?
Global.
Sorry?
It's a closer, it's a smaller place to be in, like.
Why?
Because of digital expansion.
Yes. But what is the essence of all this?
Connectivity.
And where's connectivity? What's all these smartphones?
Facebook.
Before Facebook.
Technology.
Internet. Now, this era of the internet, together or parallel with what are basically historical development, what happened to the world? Connected, interdependent, interconnected. How has that affect what we do, for example, in political science or in international relations?
We have the ability to quicker talk in international relations, for example, between countries.
Okay. What happened to countries?
Became more, as well, more independent.
And if they become more independent, if I'm single and then I get married, what happens to me? I'm no longer
changes.
single. No longer single. So what happened to states? The decline of the nation states. The international relation arena still stays, but the decline of the nation state, the rise of international organization, etc., but also the interdependence between them. And what you see is reactionary processes of like the rise of nationalism the last few years. Now, what does that mean? And that's what I wanted to remember, to say, like I made a mental note to think about after the session yesterday. You are as students, or as people who are going to the job market, you are in a very privileged position. Because think about it like that. I just want you I want you to start think about it in that way. The market, the world is saturated with scientists, with publications, with research, about all these exciting things we talked about, right? Saturated. I mean, the education widespread and accessible like no other time. I mean, if you look at how many the numbers of those who finish university, undergraduate, 20 years ago, master degrees, PhDs, was like everyone. And that's, I'm not talking about, it's beautiful, it's amazing, it's a great achievement, it's not what I'm saying. It's saturated though, which is why people started looking into interdisciplinary sort of attitude or perspectives. But because of the